Welcome to the Real News Network. I'm Jessica Devereaux in Baltimore. Last month, massive protests in the Democratic Republic of Congo erupted because citizens are saying no to the government's attempt to prolong the country's current president, Joseph Kabila's stay in power. Constitutionally, he's reached his term limit after serving 2 5-year terms, and according to Human Rights Watch, 40 protesters were killed during said protests. And they're even accusing security forces of using excessive force and then trying to remove evidence. Now joining us in studio to unpack all of this are our guests. To my right is Maurice Carney. He's the executive director and co-founder of Friends of the Congo. Sitting next to him is Kambale Musavuli. He is a student coordinator and spokesperson for the Friends of the Congo. And finally is our guest, Ben Kabemba. He is the coordinator for Youth for a New Society, a youth-led grassroots organization in the Congo. And he's also an administrator for Filimbi, a coalition of youth organizations throughout the country. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. I should say that Ben is a French speaker, so he's going to force me to have to live up to my last name and practice my French here. All right, so let's first start off with you, Kambale, and I want to talk about how the government has been trying to prolong President Kabila's stay in power. Can you just describe for us what's actually going on?
Yes, the Congolese are hoping that by 2016, President Kabila will not be in power. That will be the end of his second term. But for the past couple of years, they've been trying to find a way to constitutionally extend his terms. The Congolese constitution says that the Congolese president can only have 2 terms, so in 2016 that will be the end. So they've played with a few tactics. One that we saw unfold, which has caused the mass protest, was to introduce a section in the electoral law that will make the census of the country happen before the presidential election. So if we are in 2015 and we have a census, it will take too long, way past 2016, to have the presidential election, which will extend de facto his presidency. So because of that, we've seen people demonstrating that. And of course, they're going to continue to do so because he does want to latch on to power. He does not want to leave in 2016. And the Congolese people are rising up and saying that they want a new leadership in the country that serves the interests of the people.
Maurice, you just came back from the Congo, and you did this fact-finding mission. As I stated in the introduction, 40 people have died. This is according to Human Rights Watch. What did you find when you went out there?
Well, we had the opportunity to visit the hospitals. Students who were participating in the demonstrations were injured. So we went and talked to them and delivered supplies to them. We saw that the story, the narrative that the government was telling, they're sharing that the people who were involved in the protests were burning and looting, and they didn't mention anything at all about those who had died. There's this cover of propaganda, let's say, in the country. If you're living in the Congo and watching television, you wouldn't know anything about the people who had died. You wouldn't know anything about the security forces who had fired up on these innocent students. So we witnessed those who had been injured as a result of live bullets being fired up on them by the security forces. We saw the bravery and the courage of the students. Those who were injured and even those on the campuses, they're like, we're ready to get back in the streets to defend democracy. We're ready to get back in the streets to assure that there's a peaceful transition in the country and that we as Congolese have the opportunity to choose another leader that can serve our interests. So what we witnessed was a situation where you had young people, civil society, were high in spirits in spite of the repressive environment. We saw young people who were communicating with each other in spite of the fact that the government shut down the internet, shut down SMS, shut down social media. The youth were still in communication with each other, organizing, hosting forums, mobilizing, and being very vigilant. So those are some of what we observed during our stay.
And we have the pleasure of having one of those youth members with us. Ben, I'm going to switch over to French, parce que maintenant, qu'est-ce qui s'est passé avec votre organisation? Vous êtes arrêté, non? Qu'est-ce qui s'est passé?
OK. Ce qui s'est passé, en fait, c'est que c'est une des conséquences beaucoup des répressions en fait, que la population a subies pendant beaucoup d'années. Et la population, nous avons comme l'impression que l'esclavagisme continue au Congo avec les gouvernements en place. Alors, comme ils ont voulu tenter, en fait, pour prolonger le mandat du président, on ne voulait plus de ça. Et jusque-là, on ne veut plus de ça. La colère est toujours là. Alors, on voulait aller au palais du peuple. On dit bien palais du peuple. C'est nous qui sommes le peuple. On voulait aller au palais du peuple pour empêcher les parlementaires de voter cette loi-là. Et pour aller là-bas, il y a eu des militaires et des policiers qui étaient là. Et ils nous ont empêchés d'aller là-bas. Et on a manifesté. Et à la manifestation, on a tiré sur les gens. Quand on a vu que les gens étaient en train de mourir, on a changé de stratégie pour maintenant paralyser carrément toute la ville. Et on a dispersé en fait les mouvements dans toute la ville et la ville était chaos. Effectivement, les gens étaient morts. On a tiré sur les gens, la garde présidentielle a tiré sur les gens, la police a tiré sur les gens. Et le nombre est beaucoup plus important que les 42, mais nous nous basons sur les 42 parce que jusque-là, c'est ce qui est encore comptabilisé et officiel dans des ONG. Mais le gouvernement parle de 11 morts. Et pendant qu'il y a 42 morts que les ONG internationales ont compté. Mais nous sommes en train de faire ce travail-là pour chercher maintenant que la vérité soit faite. Donc, dans presque toutes les grandes communes où il y a beaucoup de gens, il y a eu des manifestations, des mamans, des jeunes, des enfants, tous ils étaient dans la rue. Pendant 3 jours dans certains quartiers, 4 jours dans d'autres et 5 jours dans d'autres. Et beaucoup plus encore, ce qui est plus important est que à l'université centrale de Kinshasa, à l'université de Kinshasa, il y a eu une grande manifestation des étudiants.
Combien de gens?
Oh, l'université a plus de 30 000 étudiants maintenant. Et la plupart étaient dans la manifestation. Et maintenant, ils sont en train de subir une pression terrible du gouvernement. On est en train de traquer les étudiants et tout. On a enlevé des étudiants, on a arrêté des étudiants. Et ils font la même chose qui nous ont poussés dans la rue. Donc, bientôt, on va encore rentrer dans la rue.
Okay, perfect. Let's talk a bit about the response in the diaspora, because these images were so powerful of people who were shot. And what was the diaspora's response, Kambale, to seeing these types of images?
Yeah, and this was similar to 2011 election, where the Congolese diaspora took it to the streets around the world when the result of the elections declared Kabila as the winner. At the time, the Congolese diaspora did not think that actually Kabila won in 2011. So this time it was the same. It was that we saw the cry of our brothers and sisters, our family members, who were saying that look at what is actually happening in the country. And we start mobilizing using a hashtag. The hashtag was Telema. Youth organized to create even a website called telema.org where they were sharing information. And then with the hashtag, people could put pictures or information that we were receiving in case of our organization. Since we were in communication with people on the ground, we will get the information before even the media published to share with the international community. Some journalists started actually following how the diaspora was mobilizing. Even now, in the aftermath of the protest, the diaspora has been collecting funds to support those who are wounded on the ground and sending the money to Filimbi so that they can actually help those who are wounded. So it was key on the inside and on the outside to be able to communicate with each other. This is the reason also why the government shut off the social media.
Yeah.
You know, when they shut off the internet and they turned it back on, they did not. They blocked Facebook and they blocked Twitter because they knew that's how the diaspora has been able to communicate with those on the ground. And on the ground, the youth use their cell phones to communicate, like WhatsApp, which use internet connection as well to share photos and videos, and they completely shut that off.
Wow.
So people will not be able to communicate. So the diaspora pressure did work, and actually, this is the first time I've seen many Congolese in the diaspora watch a live Senate debate online. And because when the law, the electoral law bill was passed in the National Assembly, it went to the Senate. They actually had a live stream of the Senate debate, and the diaspora was watching. I could see some messages on the Telema hashtag of those who were watching what they were saying.
So they're engaged. Very
engaged into that. And they are going to continue to be engaged because we have suffered for so long. You know, we've had millions of deaths, over 6 million Congolese dead due to the war, a government that does not represent the people, the Congolese people inside and outside of the Congo. They want a new beginning, and they want 2016 to be a mark of new change on the African continent and in their country.
Okay. I mean, if it wasn't for social media, and to be honest with you, if we didn't know you guys, we probably wouldn't even know of this story because there has just been no news about this in the Western press. But I'm sure there has been within the administration, the Obama administration. Let's talk about specifically. What has been the response of the United States government? What is their role in all of this? Maurice?
Well, it's important to share that this Kabila regime and Kabila himself, it's the same Kabila that the U.S. government supported in 2006. It's the same Kabila the U.S. government supported in 2011 when he appropriated the elections. So Kabila has had the tremendous support from the Obama administration. But as Kambali shared, as a result of pressure from the outside, as a result of pressure inside the country, we now see the administration shifting to where the people have always been and now calling for accountability on the part of the Kabila administration.
How do we know that's not more than rhetoric, though?
Well, the special envoy to the Great Lakes region, Russ Feingold, and Secretary of State John Kerry, they both went to Congo in May and demanded that Kabila respect the Constitution. Even if it is rhetoric, the Congolese people, those organizing, can latch on to that rhetoric and hold the administration accountable. U.S. population can hold the administration accountable for its rhetoric. We should be rightly skeptical based on U.S. policy in the Congo. I mean, from day one, from 1884 right up to today, the U.S. has been on the wrong side of history in the Congo. So the Obama administration, especially President Obama himself, whose signature legislation, when he was senator, was on the Congo. He passed legislation called PL 109-456, Democratic Republic of Congo Relief, Security, and Democracy Promotion Act, where it called the big elements in his law call for accountability for the leaders in the region, in Rwanda and Uganda and the Congo. So the administration has an opportunity to adhere to the legislation that President Obama himself passed. So we're hoping, with pressure, that that will happen. Left to its own devices, as we know the way the U.S. functions in terms of foreign policy, it will side with the dictators, it will side with the strongmen, it will side against the people, it will side against democracy. So there's an opportunity here with the proper light being shone on the situation, with the proper pressure being placed on the administration from the American public, with the mobilization that's taken place among the Congolese youth and the Congolese society overall, for the United States to actually do the right thing.
All right. Ben, I want to bring you back into the conversation. Alors, on doit parler en français encore. Qu'est-ce que sont votre objectif, court terme et long terme?
OK. À court terme, ce que nous voulons faire, c'est que le gouvernement, après les manifestations, a présenté des étudiants, de jeunes Congolais, comme des bandits qui étaient dans la rue. Et le gouvernement a arrêté les jeunes sous prétexte qu'ils étaient allés prier. Mais le gouvernement ne nous a pas présenté les policiers et les gardes de Kabila qui ont tiré sur les gens. Le gouvernement reconnaît qu'il y a eu des morts. Les morts par balle, c'est les militaires et les policiers qui ont tué les gens. Mais on présente à la télévision la population comme ils étaient des bandits. Mais on doit aussi nous présenter les militaires et les policiers qui ont tiré sur les gens. Alors, en cela, nous allons tenir une conférence de presse pour obliger les gouvernements à le faire, à nous présenter les auteurs des morts des populations. Si ils ne le font pas, on va dire que le gouvernement est en train de tuer sa propre population. Et aussi, nous sommes en train de mener des investigations pour comptabiliser les gens qui sont morts et ceux qui sont aussi blessés. À long terme, nous sommes en train d'éduquer la population Nous sommes en train d'éduquer la population pour que la population puisse comprendre son rôle dans la communauté et comprendre que le Congo, c'est le pays le plus important de l'Afrique. C'est l'un des pays les plus importants même dans l'humanité, dans tous les secteurs, dans le secteur minier, dans l'eau, même dans la forêt. Le Congo, c'est parmi les pays les plus importants.
C'est vraiment riche.
Oui, c'est très, très riche. Et la population aussi doit être riche. Et il y a un système qui a été mis en place pour appauvrir mentalement la population, pour que la population soit pauvre, être aliénée. Alors, nous, le travail qu'on va faire à long terme, c'est aider cette population-là à avoir l'éducation et pour élever le niveau de la nation. Parce que quand le Congo s'élève, et c'est toute l'Afrique qui s'élève, et l'humanité aussi va se lever. Il y a des pauvres partout au monde. Et le Congo a suffisamment à donner à tous ces pauvres-là qui viennent vivre au Congo. Voilà.
Yeah, that's really well said. I think we're going to end the segment there. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, thank you.
And thank you for joining us on the Real News Network.